All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time. We've been working on this one for a little bit. Had some just too many client results to produce, you know? Be like that sometimes. But getting straight into it. This is the case study on how we made a fitness coach $116,732.45 in profit in 2 months without using paid advertising, sending cold DMs, or without him being a YouTube celebrity. And this is obviously by me and my business partner, Liam, the co-founders of highticket.com. So let's just get straight into it. We do not have time to waste. Now, if you want a scalable and consistent system for monetizing your organic social media presence, this is going to be the most useful piece of content that you've ever come across. On the same note, if you think you are permanently stuck sending cold DMs or running paid ads to run your business, but you want to find a way to get high-ticket clients through organic social media, then this case study breakdown is going to save you hundreds of hours and hundreds of thousands of dollars in ad spend. Now, for those of you who are unaware, my name is Vince Reich, and in this doc, I'm going to break down the exact step-by-step process of how we got Gabe, a fitness coach who is tired of being stuck at $10,000 to $15,000 a month with his coaching business, to shatter this plateau and skyrocket past $50,000 a month in under 50 days. Now, before I begin, please put aside all distractions, place your phone on Do Not Disturb, close all other tabs except this one, and pay very close attention to the following case study breakdown. If you plan on scaling your own high-ticket business through social media and follow exactly what I'm about to show you, you'll be able to get results in a very short time frame and have a massive advantage over your competitors. But before I speak any further, allow me to show you some proof backing my opening statement so you know that we actually did this. So here's a Slack message, or it's a screenshot from our Slack community's wins channel when Gabe dropped that he'd struck his first 50K month. And I'll zoom in on the picture. I don't know if you guys, this will probably be easier. If you guys can see this right here, this is the second month when we started. Yeah, so this is posted on July 29th, 3 days before the month even ended. And the month prior, he had also hit his first $25,000 month. That's when we launched about halfway through the month. And then just as well, here's the full stripe screenshot from July 1st to July 31st. And at the time that I was initially putting this together, August 23rd, when I was writing this, we had cash collected $116,732.45. So now that you understand just how valuable this case study that I'm about to show you is, let's actually go over who it's for. This is for you if you are someone who wants to launch or scale your high-ticket coaching program to $20,000 to $50,000 a month in the next 2 to 6 months. If you also care about building amazing products and services that actually get customers results, then you are in the right place. If you want to properly monetize your social media audience without coming off spammy or salesy, you're in the right place. If you just want a system that consistently pushes potential clients to your expensive offer or program, then you're in the right place. If you want to actually run a scalable business and not have to work like a dog for scraps, then stick around. If you aren't charging as much as you feel your time, focus, energy, and experience are worth, then stick around. If you're afraid of buying an overpriced course about social media or digital marketing and not 15 to 25xing your money like you should, then stick around. If you're suspicious of slimy Instagram influencers that promise they can make you millions with their $20,000 plus program, then this is for you. If you feel like you're going to miss out on the better parts of life because you're stuck in a hamster wheel of grinding for dollars, then this is for you. If you're envious of competitors who are far less intelligent but have all the followers and customers, and you hate that you, with all the experience and knowledge, don't get the attention you deserve, then this is for you. Now, what this breakdown is not about. Manipulating, persuading, or using people to make a quick buck, using shady underground marketing and sales tactics that could get you nailed by the FTC or other government agency, following traditional social media methods, not getting customers the best results, making quick cash and not running a legitimate business. And here's the truth. You can absolutely monetize on social media and get to $20,000 to $50,000 a month without having to spend money on paid ads, send cold DMs, or being a YouTube celebrity. However, most entrepreneurs and people with large audiences do not know how to do this because they don't understand, one, how to craft a targeted high-ticket offer that people legitimately want to buy, build content in a profile funnel that pre-sells potential clients on a high-ticket offer before any sales call or conversation even happens, nor do they understand how to deliver content in the proper order to actually create a smooth sales process rather than a forced and pushy sales process. But if you're watching this, you're already on the right track and stopping yourself from making simple, avoidable mistakes. Now, here's the limiting belief that you need to protect yourself from. There's no such thing as the social media space is too saturated or there's too many competitors posting content in my space. What you have to realize is that competition validates that there's demand for your service to begin with. But I don't want you to take that just from me. Here's a quote from a podcast where Peter Kell, who, if you guys don't know, is a 9-figure direct response marketer. He's the guy that helped scale Mind Valley to 9 figures, was talking with Alex Fedotov about competition. And he said, blue oceans are a sign that you're walking right into a graveyard. If there's no one here, it's because all their bodies sank to the bottom of the ocean. Meaning that if you go to a place where there's no competition and there's no other people doing the bitch work for you and validating that people even want the thing in the first place, you're making a horrible mistake. You're going to do all the work of trying to validate something and get no yield or return off of it. So why does everyone think competition is a limiting factor? Because most people have been psyoped by social algorithms into thinking that there are way more competitors in their niche than there actually is. Now, naturally, if a platform can determine what type of content you post about and consume, it's going to show you similar content, thereby falsely leading you to believe that there are more competitors than there actually are in your niche. Well, in reality, most consumers on all platforms are always looking for the bigger, better, and boutique player on all platforms. They're always looking for the new person to latch onto and are happily willing to pay for access, information, and guidance. I promise you, the one little misconception here is that people consistently underestimate the actual scale of the internet, and they think that just because they've seen even 50 or 100 influencers in their space, that it's like that somehow takes away from you, when, if anything, it's about collaboration more than it is about competition. People have such a horrible limiting belief about if there's actually enough space for them on each of the platforms, and there absolutely is. Now, if you want this person to be you, the person that people are going to latch onto in your space, we're going to go over exactly 1, how to navigate around the issues mentioned above, 2, how we managed to get Gabe so many sales calls that his calendar was booked out for 3 weeks straight, 3, how we built a multi-6-figure social media funnel using one simple YouTube video that pre-sold prospects before the sales call, 4, how we 7.5x'd Gabe's prices without him having to spend more time on fulfilling clients than he already was, 5, how to get to consistent $20,000 to $50,000 plus months while staying above 90% profit margins, 6, how we helped Gabe do all of this in what is quite literally the most competitive niche on social media. Just as proof of my statement up here earlier, we literally did this in the fitness coaching space. And if you guys have been on Instagram ever, you know that Instagram is the home of the 90% of the fitness space. So it is the most competitive channel and the most competitive market for all of social media. And then finally, bonus, how to do all this without sending a single DM yourself, spending a dime on paid ads, being a YouTube celebrity, or spending more than 15 to 20 hours per week on the business as a whole. Now, before I dive into the specifics, a little background as to why we did this in the first place. In case you guys don't know me, my name is Vince Reich, and I've been in sales since I got out of the U.S. Navy back in 2020. I've done the entire stack: cold calling distressed property owners in order to wholesale, car sales, phone sales for warranty companies, outbound prospecting, and sales pipeline management for extremely high-ticket syndication offers, the whole 9. I've personally been responsible for between 10 to 15 million USD in direct sales and have been in the trenches in every type of sales process that you can possibly imagine. Now, in 2022, after leaving my last position of outbound prospecting that I just mentioned right here, I began selling high-ticket conversion rate optimization services to 7-figure direct-to-consumer brands, getting all my leads through organic content on TikTok. And here's an example of me posting conversion rate optimization client results on TikTok and still nailing between 20 and 30,000 views per video. If you guys don't know anything about conversion rate optimization, it is one of the most niche and smallest B2B spaces in all of the e-commerce, specifically like physical e-commerce and selling physical products. It is an extremely small niche, and I was posting client results like case studies and getting 20 to 30,000 views a video. So it's an extremely boring topic, but I was able to pull this shit off. And my business partner, Liam, was selling image consultancy to founders of 8-figure legal firms and financial service providers, getting all his clients through organic as well. Things like Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, the whole nine. And here's an example of one of the backends of Liam's clients' accounts that he was growing during this time period. We were selling these extremely high ticket, I wouldn't say extremely high ticket, I take that back. That's a little too much. High ticket B2B services through platforms like TikTok, which people thought was impossible to do. However, we were pulling it off. And during this period, we were both closing deals between $2,000 to $8,000 per month with all of our clients coming from organic. And here's an example of a retainer at that time. And towards the end of 2022, we ended up meeting for the first time through an internet marketing mastermind, and then something happened that we never expected. After speaking for a bit and sharing different ideas and trends we were both noticing in the online marketing and social media space, we came to find out that we had both started to experience the same thing. Both of us started to get people booking calls with us that figured out what we were doing, high ticket offers through organic, and wanted help doing it for their own business. People like fitness coaches, trainers, wellness coaches, biz op offers, course sellers and info offers, content creators who wanted to sell something that they actually felt was worth their time, people who were selling low ticket digital product offers but wanted to charge more or add in a high ticket offer into their ascension ladder, and a myriad of real estate coaches, fitness coaches, sales coaches that were trying to sell offers between $2,000 and $25,000 and did their marketing and sales through social media, being organic and paid ads. And all of them were asking for the same thing. They all needed a system that could consistently and predictably bring in high ticket clients just through organic social media. And within days of agreeing to help them, we got to see firsthand all the problems that they were struggling with. And we noticed a recurring theme immediately. All of these people didn't understand how to differentiate themselves from the competition on social media while simultaneously moving their audience through an extremely streamlined funnel and sales process to a unique high-ticket offer their customers actually wanted to buy. And given our experience closing 7 figures worth of high-ticket offers through organic, as well as Liam and I spending over $100,000 USD on coaching and info products ourselves over the last 2 years, we knew the exact steps we needed to take to help them break past their plateau and give them a legitimate asset they could use to generate profit for the rest of their lives. And in May of 2023, Gabe had the focus of this case study. Gabe had stumbled across our case study YouTube video of how we got Will Richardson's fitness coaching offer from $2,000 a month to over $28,000 in a month or $28,000 per month in 90 days. He was intrigued and scheduled a call with us. And this is a screenshot from that very first call we had. He had just recently spent thousands on a program to scale his own coaching business from one of the biggest names in the space, who had over 800,000 followers at the time. I'm not gonna call him out by name, but even though they were one of the biggest names in the space, by following their advice, he had made less money the next month because they advised him to charge lower prices in the most competitive market on social media. Which, if you guys know anything about market dynamics or economics, that is the worst possible thing you could do. It was a one-way street to making considerably less money. We knew that we had to take on the mental debt from him getting burned in the past and help him break past his plateau. He said he wanted to take his coaching business to the next level, so we decided to work together. We had spent the end of May and the beginning of June getting everything ready, engineering the new offer, the new content messaging, the new funnel, the new sales process, prepping systems for scale, and on June 13th, we set things in motion. The new high-ticket ecosystem we created for Gabe worked so well that within 49 days of launch, we'd cash collected over 80,000 USD. And at the time that I began writing this case study, he's cash collected over 116,000, specifically $116,732.45. Also, funny side note, we pulled this off while Gabe took an entire week off from taking sales calls halfway through July so he could go on a short vacation with his girlfriend. Ha ha ha. The high-ticket ecosystem we installed for Gabe is our playbook built through our own trial and error from closing high-ticket deals through organic content, regardless if someone is in a competitive niche or not. Now, we decided to break it all down for you. In the following steps, I'm going to outline the entire process A to Z of what we did to get these results, and we wanted to put this out there so you can use our playbook to launch and scale your high-ticket business through organic and make at least an additional $20,000 to $50,000 a month in the next 4 to 24 weeks. Below, I'm going to outline the essential blueprint of doing this, launching and scaling your high-ticket business, even if you're in a highly competitive market on social media, without having to send cold DMs, without spending any money on paid ads, and without spending days, if not weeks, screwing around with complex websites, softwares, and without having to be a YouTube celebrity. All right, let's get right into it. So, where everyone goes wrong trying to monetize on social media. Now, unless you are a YouTube celebrity that gets at least 1 million views per month, you need to be selling a high-ticket offer. It is non-negotiable. Most people, when trying to monetize through social media, typically attempt the route of trying to sell cheap ebooks, digital products, or get affiliate sales for pre-existing brands or other brands. Now, this is an understandable approach, as most people that are starting out typically see massive influencers taking this approach and replicate it, thinking it is the proper way to monetize. However, they forget that these are macro influencers that can afford to take this high volume, low margin approach. It's like if you tried to start a restaurant or start your own e-commerce website or something and just copying Amazon where they are now, not where they were in 1994 when they started, right? Not to mention, most of these influencers that run this approach are usually in the dark as to how much money they actually could be making by running a high ticket offer, not to mention the horrendous results that cheap offers bring. And here's an example of Gabe mirroring this, and Gabe explaining this as well in his stories. So let's do some simple math. If you get 100,000 link clicks in a month from your Instagram bio and 1% of people convert on a $17 ebook, and this is provided that you can run that amount of traffic consistently, which if you guys know how much traffic it takes just on Instagram or TikTok alone to get 100,000 link clicks, that's one big thing here, provided you can do that. And two, provided that you set everything up correctly, the messaging is proper, you have to do all the technical stuff, X, Y, and Z. That comes out to only $17,000 cash collected. And that's not including the costs and payment processing fees. Now, additionally, this method requires you, like I mentioned just a second ago, you have to be putting out content that gets massive reach month after month. However, on the flip side, here's data of what running a high ticket offer through organic social media looks like. And these are our own numbers from a couple months back, so you guys have a reference point. If you only got around 2,000 link clicks in a single month, which is extremely easy, and you only get 1.5% of those people to book sales calls, and you only end up closing half of them on a high ticket coaching program, that comes out to $98,000 cash collected, with less traffic, less technical setup, and not having to shake your ass on camera to get views. So if we just boil this all down to simple mathematics, you actually start to understand that not only is it easier to sell a high ticket offer through organic socials than it is to sell a cheap product at mass scale, not only is it easier, but it also makes more money. So let's go into how we did all this for Gabe. I'm surprised no one figures that out and everyone still tries to take the mass scale approach. All right, let's get into the actual blueprint. Blueprint part 1, targeting and the offer, identifying the perfect customer. Now, starting a coaching or high-ticket business through social media was incredibly easy in the 2010s, especially if you were in a niche or space that was visually oriented, fitness, e-com, real estate, stuff like that. However, in the 2020s, especially after the COOF, the socials have become an extremely cutthroat environment with new creators springing up every day, taking up space in the feed and making themselves and others indistinguishable from one another. This leads to them to be forced to charge lower prices as there's no unique positioning, results, or stylization to their content or offer, no matter how special they think they are. Creators that take this standard approach quickly realize the limitations of it. Below is a visual on traditional strategies versus the highticket.com approach on what kind of offer people sell through social media. So some traditional methods and the results that stem from them. One, copying other people's offer and messaging leads to the audience feels that you are just another face and that there's nothing that differentiates you. Designing the offer and positioning based on an assumption as to what your audience wants leads you to be forced to charge lower prices due to lower resonance with the audience. Projecting what you would buy onto other people and expect they have the same problems as you means the offer does not click with the audience due to misalignment of problem solution. And then selling without finding out what people want in the first place, which results in no one purchases the offers, that doesn't stick. You're basically trying to fit a square peg through a circle hole. Now, the highticket.com method and the new results that stem from it create a unique high-ticket offer that starkly differentiates itself through absolute clarity. The entire niche begins to devour the offer and messaging due to the depth and specificity of it. Designing the offer and positioning based on feedback from what the audience wants. You can charge 4 to 10 times the industry average and close at a higher percentage due to higher resonance with the audience. Gathering data from pre-existing customers or audience members. The offer is like a well-oiled machine. Everyone starts to become a perfect fit due to alignment of problem solution. Spend a couple hours to gather data and make sure that all your future work doesn't go down the drain. Basically just selling people what they want to buy, actually. The offer has a massive success rate. Sales calls land every time, and too many people are closing for you to manage. Now, before we even touched any other parts of Gabe's business, the funnel, sales, X, Y, and Z, we dialed in exactly who Gabe's perfect customer was. I guess you could say who his most profitable customer was and how to speak to them. We needed to do this so we could craft an offer around their wants and needs so that every time Gabe pitched, the offer would be aligned with their exact problem. Now, usually, how most people conduct this stage, if at all, if they ever do this, most people, 99% of people don't do this, is to base their offer purely on predictions about who their audience is and what they want. They just crudely project what they would buy onto other people without taking into account the feedback from the people who will actively be thinking about the reasons that they should not buy it. In other words, they try to sell shit without listening to what people even want in the first place. This leads to them to get discouraged at the first sign that people don't want what they're offering and they think that it doesn't work. This is also why 98% of people make near zero money on social media from their own offers and have to get pimped out by brands. As you guys can see here. They did from NeoReach and an influencer marketing hub did this brief survey of a couple thousand creators, and their single highest revenue source on average was, as you guys can clearly see, brand deals, while their own started my own brand, and that means physical. That's not even talking about like high ticket offers. Realistically, it's probably below 2%, 1.5%. Because courses, that could mean even like low ticket stuff, right? So keep in mind here, going back to that thing I said earlier about competition, you'd be surprised with taking into account the mass scale that the internet actually provides and how many people actually pull this shit off and make good stuff. It is incredibly easy to launch one of these. Now, but back into the case study. Remember, if the offer targeting and narrative are wrong, nothing else in the business is going to work. Leads and prospects willing to pay high dollar amounts will not come in consistently. Sales calls are not going to close. The coach, business owner, is forced to charge lower prices due to lower market resonance, and they start the race to the bottom, and it feels like the business is starving and cash flow will be in the toilet. This translates into one half-interested prospect per week and thinking you're a failure. The average ending to sales calls is, I need to see what my finances look like, and you coping by saying, yes, I'm 100% proud of the fact that I'm selling PDFs for $17. Now, in order to make our jobs easier every step of the way and actually help differentiate Gabe from the countless competitors in his space, all we had to do was a couple hours of brief research and note-taking. We needed to figure out his audience's biggest desires, needs, pains, and roadblocks. So we created a discovery spreadsheet to gather data on his current clientele and audience. We scheduled calls with some of his past clients and booked calls with people that were already DMing him for general fitness advice, and we asked them the following line of questions. I'm not going to stay on this and go through every single subsection of it. If you guys want to pause momentarily and look at it, you absolutely can, but I'm going to continue on. Now, in asking all these, here's the main data points we were looking for. 1, the target audience has a problem that needs to be solved to begin with. 2, the problem is painful enough that they would actually pay a significant amount of money for it to be solved. 3, they wanted the problem to be solved urgently enough that it would make sense to purchase sooner rather than later. 4, what specific wording and language they were using to describe their pain points and roadblocks. 5, what exact roadblocks they were dealing with so we could position Gabe's program to get clients faster and easier than them doing it themselves. And 6, most importantly, what transformation the audience was specifically looking to achieve. And after 15 calls of a mixture of current clients and people who DM Gabe that were interested in getting into better shape, we knew exactly what we had to change with Gabe's offer and messaging. Now, before, he was running kind of a spray and pray approach where the messaging wasn't particularly hyper-organized and there wasn't an ideal client persona that was mapped out. It was kind of just any guy that generally wanted to be in better shape. However, after, when we take the highticket.com sniper approach to dialing in the ideal customer persona, we had figured out that it was specifically skinny fat men who were over the age of 25 looking to drop a significant amount of body weight. That is the wording they used. Adding lean muscle to achieve the ripped look. Once again, wording that they use themselves. Actually learn how to keep their gains after the program. Achieving all this while not spending more than 4 to 5 hours per week in the gym. Now, because we actually took the time to perform basic research on what Gabe's audience wanted in an offer from him, literally every part of the process after this was easier. The offer resonated harder with the audience. His content got more engagement because he knew what pain points to speak to. The messaging in the case study video was more targeted. Booking high-ticket clients on sales calls was easier. More on that later, the case study video. Client results were better as we were serving the right people to begin with. And just taking this simple step made a massive difference in understanding who the hell we were actually trying to speak to in the first place here. So now that we had our research in hand, we could now build Gabe's high-ticket offer. So you have to do the research first, then you can actually build the offer. Now, in order to actually put together Gabe's market-dominating offer, we had 2 things we needed to solve for. One, it had to appeal directly to the ICP and the research points we figured out in the last section. Two, the offer had to exist within previous client results that Gabe had achieved in the past. Reason being, the offer needed to speak directly to what his audience wanted, and they couldn't find anywhere else in the space, and we needed to be able to demonstrate to prospects that we had evidence and collateral to support what he was claiming he could do for them in this new offer. Before we worked together, Gabe's offer was pretty standard for what most coaches in the fitness space run. The standard training program, nutrition outline, non-specific audience targeting, no specific outcome with no specific time frame. And at that moment, Gabe was selling the what. Really important to remember that. He was selling the what, and this is the problem a lot of people get stuck in, is that they try to they sell the what. That's really like the main issue with most people, is they just sell the what, they're not selling a why, which I'll go into momentarily. Now, here's what his offer was before. 12-week custom daily workouts with videos on his private training app, 12-week custom macro plan, which includes daily calories, protein, carbs, fat totals, with meal examples and a grocery list. One time per week, mandatory check-ins to make sure they're progressing to their goal. Once per week, 60-minute video group calls for a Q&A with Gabe and the team to answer everything about mindset, training, and nutrition. And 24/7 all-access app for communication. And for this, Gabe was charging $3.99 month to month, $8.99 for every 3 months, $12.99 for 6 months, and $19.99 for a year. Now, like I mentioned before, this is extremely common for offers in the fitness space. I cannot tell you how many times I've seen this exact copy and offer stack thrown around, as most of the fitness space is still stuck in 2015 to 2016. Feature dumping with cheap pricing is a direct path to the race to the bottom, leading to the people that are stuck in that situation to basically fight tooth and nail just for scraps. This offer was not targeted enough and did not have enough leverage in order to A, propel Gabe to the $50K a month mark consistently, and B, was not more likely to get stellar client results, which is obviously important. Now, this isn't to say that Gabe didn't understand what he was doing. The guy knows more about training and nutrition than anyone I've personally met. What I mean to say is that because the offer was not highly specific in the audience being targeted, transformation being provided, timeline of the transformation, roadblocks the client would not be dealing with in the program, risk reversal being provided to the client, and the weighted pricing being offered, it was difficult for prospects to have clarity and understand why they should buy and be committed after they pay. And because of this, potential clients felt like the entire service was very cut and paste, in that it wasn't specifically catered and designed for them. It did not feel premium and boutique, right? Now, they felt like there wasn't really a new or better way for them to get results after everything they've tried up to this point, right? This led to them being unwilling to pay higher prices and multiple other problems, some of which include Gabe being stuck charging low prices, usually under that 1.5K mark, him having less certainty about how long clients would stay, prospects were less likely to close in sales conversations, and clients were less likely to get results because there was less commitment. Additionally, due to considerable amounts of business content being misconstrued over the past 2-3 years, a huge amount of people think that just having an offer with a guarantee slapped on it is what makes a no-brainer offer. And because of this dilution, now everyone has a no-brainer offer, which means that no one does. This means that in order to compete with business owners that were bagging groceries last week but now throwing up Instagram reels, we needed to develop something a little different. So, just like in the ideal client persona section, all the general metrics of the business were lower without having a unique high-ticket offer. So in order to get the offer dialed in, we sat down on a call with Gabe and mapped out his new offer based on the following 3 points we run every client's offer through at highticket.com. Number 1, data to offer. We plugged his ICP's characteristics and language that they were using into an offer outline that spoke to the desires, needs, and pain points we found during the research phase. Transformation based off collateral, basing the offer's claims of transformation timeline off the parameters of previous client results and his own personal results. And unique approach and angle created a unique mechanism based on the structure of his specific approach to getting clients' results. This new offer design: skinny fat men, lose 10% of your body weight, pack on lean muscle, and learn how to keep it forever in 180 days or less using the rebound method, without getting the weight back, spending more than 4 hours a week in the gym, or giving up your favorite foods. And if it doesn't work, you don't pay. And the pricing of this new offer: $2K for 3 months and $3K for 6 months, as you guys can see here. Now, what were the results of us putting together his offer like this? The second we started presenting prospects this offer on sales calls, they noted that unlike other people in the fitness space, they felt that the new offer actually spoke to their immediate needs, desires, pains, and fears. And additionally, they felt the offer was far more qualitative due to the intense specificity and higher premium price. Here's a quote from the third prospect he presented this offer to on a sales call. You guys can read that. Dude, this is the first time I've ever heard a fitness coach that actually has something that's meant for me, which resulted in a $3K paid in full 15 minutes later. Now, a couple notes here is that the increased price of his offer, 7.5 times what he used to charge, would by nature filter out clients that weren't committed, meaning clients were more likely to get results. And because prior to being presented this offer, people will have seen client results in Gabe's case study before they even get on the sales call, there's a colossal amount of evidence that backs up the credibility of Gabe's offer, meaning prospects are far more bought in and likely to close, which I'll go more into the specifics of that later. Now, in summary, the offer was perfectly set up for Gabe to charge 7.5 times more for the same amount of client work he was doing before, getting better clients that had more skin in the game and were more likely to listen to him, and 3, most importantly, make more money in a shorter period of time. The results of this, the pricing differential going from $399 a month to $3,000, which was the most that is the average of what people purchased. Believe it or not, people did not purchase the 2K on average on these high ticket calls. It was 3K, which is a 7.51x increase. In terms of a unique positioning standpoint, instead of using the same strategies as everyone else, which is standard for most people in the space, no one's offer is remotely as specific as this. Outside of people that are also in our program, no one does even fitness offers or anything that are nearly as specific, which gives it qualitative and premium positioning. Time to close. Now, before it was DM closing, which resulted in a non-predictable time to close, 15 minutes to 3+ hours. That's actually significantly more than 3+ hours, because sometimes they would happen over a couple days, but we'll be on the more friendly side on this. But with the tuned offer, results in a 45-minute sales call, a predictable time to acquire a higher value customer. The money to time ratio goes from $133 per hour to $4,000 per hour, which is a 3,007.5% increase. So, as you guys can see here, 3K was the average ticket size. Now, even though we put together a banger offer that gave Gabe 5 to 10 times the amount of leverage he had before, we didn't put all this together just so Gabe would have to play the convincing game 5 times a day with cold prospects that would possibly be wasting his now even more valuable time. So we began to put together the next part of the machine that would take care of educating and warming up potential clients before they even spoke to Gabe. Blueprint Part 2, Sales Assets and Audience Investment. Our specific goal in this section is to make Gabe's entire front-facing portion of his social media cut through the noise like a knife. Given our grand goal, make Gabe stand out from the rest of this crowd so his high-ticket business could completely disrupt the most saturated niche on social media, we needed to be able to communicate the high-ticket offer and the results Gabe could get people. Now, I need you to remember the following statement. The objective of all content is to extrapolate on and echo the decision-making process of the entrepreneur. That is it. And here's a visual representation of that statement. Your offer and messaging stem from are derived from the outcome stemming from your protocol and your decision-making process, and that is extrapolated further and further and further the shorter form the content is. So your decision-making process, which created your protocol, because remember, the reason you get results versus someone that does not get results in your specific area of expertise is due to you have a decision-making process that allowed you to get results. So everything here is an extrapolation of your correct decision-making process that actually gets results in your specific area. Now, typically, most creators, coaches, or upcoming influencers that are trying to run a business through social media don't communicate their offers or results properly. The average creator relies on a value TM dumping strategy or a completely aimless scattergun of posting any possible type of content that might trigger purchasing behavior. Those creators that run the value TM strategy or scattergun strategy innately understand the limitations of them. Below is a visual on traditional strategies versus the highticket.com approach to building content and a profile funnel that actually converts. Now, so I'll just go straight into it. Some traditional methods being no strategized customer journey, treating social media like you're still in high school, which results in you just being another face and your social media traffic has completely unhinged behavior. You have no in-depth breakdown of client case study and no true marketing collateral, which results in the logical part of audience's brain getting no traction and they don't understand your process to getting results, leaving prospects cold and very few touch points before a sales conversation actually occurs, which results in no guarantee that you don't have a guarantee that prospects actually understand your process to get results and they aren't sold before the call, which kind of matters. And a lack of omnipresence, frequency, and content variance, which results in not taking up as much mental real estate or establishing permanence in prospects' minds as you want, which you need to have. Next is the highticket.com method and the new results that stem from it. Being a military-grade customer journey path is implemented and regimented. Social traffic is directed where we want. This results in social traffic being directed where we want, sending eyeballs exactly where they are most monetizable. Creating and directing social traffic in the proper order of length, specifically to a case study breakdown. The audience becomes pre-sold to us, our offer and vehicle for getting results, and the sales occur faster and easier. Prospect is obligated to consume more sales assets prior to the sales conversation, which results in over 95% of prospects understand how the offer owner gets results in the first place. And omnipresence, frequency of content, and variance of content results in the audience's eyeballs literally not being able to escape the creator/influencer no matter where they go. If they follow you on multiple platforms, they basically can't escape you. Now remember, just because we had a shiny new offer, that does not mean our work is done yet. All the work we had just done only affects the very end of a sales conversation, the whole ideal customer persona and offer section. That only affects the very end of a sales conversation with a potential customer, primarily, which I'll go into more how we slowly extrapolate it. And as far as Gabe's average follower was concerned, nothing had changed. They weren't aware that something big was in the works. So before I explain the specifics of what we did for Gabe here, I'm going to hit on how most people screw up this stage. A, most people don't have any sort of system to warm potential customers up in the first place. B, most people that use social media to try and sell prospects think that they can just raw dog traffic that has only seen 3 of their Instagram reels before. And C is that no one pre-sells prospects before the sales calls out of either laziness, incompetence, or ignorance. In simple terms, 99% of people do not intentionally and purposefully design every step of their customer's journey. They just post and pray in hopes that sales will fall into their lap after posting a couple times. And this leads to completely inconsistent lead flow. The leads that might occasionally come in don't believe that you can actually help them. The leads that might believe you're able to help them still aren't sold on your process. And the leads that might believe you can help them and maybe understand your process still haven't spent enough time with you to mentally justify dropping multiple thousands of dollars in a single sitting. Essentially, the entire customer acquisition side of the business's metrics suffer due to inconsistent volume, prospects not being properly nurtured, prospects aren't convinced you're actually an authority figure they should purchase from, and they simply just do not close on more expensive offers. Now, in Gabe's case, he did make a concerted effort to warm prospects up through stacking Instagram stories every day, and this works up to a point. However, it is not scalable. Doing this required him to maintain a constant flow of dozens of stories per day that would phase out 24 hours after being posted. And though it was working to a minimal degree, we knew we could do better and craft a system to give Gabe ready-to-buy clients consistently. We didn't want him to have to bust his ass 12 hours a day to just close $399 a month packages when he could just be closing $2,000 to $3,000 deals in a 45-minute setting. So the goals of these new sales assets, conversion-focused content, were consistency, making lead generation and potential customer interest more consistent, pre-selling people on the new unique high-ticket offer so the sales conversation would close faster and easier, pre-educating potential customers on the nuanced narrative and ideology behind Gabe's unique approach so they would get results faster once they purchased, and making the entire customer journey feel and appear as natural and organic as possible so that at no point did prospects ever feel as if they were even being sold. So here's what we did. 1, being the profile funnel. The first thing we needed to take care of was putting together the entire customer journey from A to Z. Every step from the moment they laid eyes on Gabe's content to the second they got on a sales call was going to be carefully engineered. Like I mentioned earlier, most people just throw their hands up and kind of resort to a post and pray approach, hoping that random content is just somehow going to make prospects fall in their lap that are going to pay them thousands of dollars. That makes sense. This post and pray approach isn't an actual system that consistently and predictably pushes people down the funnel as day-to-day content is being posted. And this results in no lead flow, empty calendar, plus feeling like you're a failure. The content being posted is by definition low leverage, and it feels like the business is stagnating and dying due to constant dry periods. Now, the proper way of doing this, communicating our unique angle, offer, and client results through social content, is what we call a profile chain reaction. And the diagram I showed above is how we structured these social accounts, which I'll zoom in for you guys here. Now, how these micro sales letters and the profile chain reaction functions is, one, a pinned micro sales letter is placed in the first post position where a super majority of people landing on a social page tap. 2 pinned social proof posts in the second and third positions of the page. And 3 is the bio copy is used to further establish authority and direct people to the long form case study. The entire point of the high ticket ecosystem is to move eyeballs to the case study, right? As you guys can see here, pinned micro sales letters and then social proof as well. And I'll get into how micro sales letter work momentarily. Now, in summary, using these 3 assets to direct all of Gabe's social media traffic to the case study in his bio drastically improved how many people were coming into the funnel efficiently. As you can see here, more than nearly 74% of all views coming to this case study are coming from external sources being directed social traffic and are the feeder for all lead generation, as you can see right here. Oh, geez. Yeah, see, 74% of all traffic is external social traffic. So what does all this mean? Now that we were directing all of Gabe's organic traffic to a single source, we officially solved the consistency problem of lead generation. Now remember the following. Being able to direct traffic means you have control of the traffic. Control of traffic means we can tune the quality of the traffic. Ability to tune the quality of the traffic means we can determine when and what the traffic will be buying. So now that we had solved this problem of directing the traffic, it was time for us to actually build the part of the machine that tunes the quality of the traffic, being the sales assets and case studies that warmed the social traffic up and pre-sold people in the new high ticket offer. So moving into sales assets and case studies. Now, typically, most people that run businesses through social media do it through one of 3 different types of funnels. These being A, pushing their social traffic to an opt-in page that leads to a 5-minute video sales letter that has a book a call link below it. B, sending traffic directly to texting with the coach. This is what Gabe was doing at the time. C, send traffic to some kind of low-ticket ebook sales page. All these pose a similar problem. These are all extremely inefficient funnels that subconsciously place potential clients in a guarded mindset, preparing themselves against being sold. Not to mention, none of these funnels iron out objections or pre-sell the offer before someone even gets on the sales call. And these are all the negative effects that stem from using these types of funnels. They put Number 1, they put your potential customers on guard and you get treated like a used car salesman. Trust me, I know, I used to be one. 2, the potential customers barely understand what you offer in the first place. 3, they have no context as to what kind of client results you've achieved in the past. 4, they haven't warmed up to you whatsoever and haven't heard you speak on a topic in depth. If you guys know anything about the 7-hour rule, how long it takes to turn someone from a cold prospect into a closed deal. 5, they aren't sold on you and don't know your backstory. 6, they can't personally vouch for your unique approach to getting results. 7, potential customers don't feel like you've given them any epiphanies yet, meaning that they have received no value, insight, or reciprocity from you up front. 8, and most importantly, the prospects feel as if they're being sold. They don't feel like they're making the buying decision themselves, which is incredibly important through organic. The main point being, people are not pre-educated or pre-sold, meaning very few, if any, book calls. The occasional person that does book doesn't close and treats you like a snake oil salesman. And the occasional person that might close is usually so uncommitted that they don't end up getting results, meaning they're usually horrible as clients. So with such a heavy stack of objectives we needed to check off in one fell swoop, how on earth did we do it? Simple. It's just a video, a single YouTube video, a very particularly and intentionally designed YouTube video. This YouTube video was put together to solve all the problems I just mentioned and more. So here's how we set it up. First, we wrote a case study breakdown with the following structure, and this is grossly over-summarized. But this case study, if I were to go super in-depth on every single subsection here, this would be like a 5-hour video, probably closer to 10, actually. A strong headline that caught the audience's attention. It demonstrated evidence and client results, explained who the video could help, gave the background of how Gabe got here, explained Gabe's unique angle and methodology, demonstrated all the stages he brought clients through in exact order, tied everything back to the summary and escalated intensity, and then posed the audience with a question. This case study solves a litany of problems in a single move. Some of these problems that I just mentioned up here. It solves every single one of these, actually. Killing dozens of birds with one stone. We plugged it into a slide deck, filmed the video, placed a specifically worded questionnaire in the description, and posted it. The results of this? Booked calls came within hours after posting the video, and we were off to the races, as you can see here. So our machine was working very well right from the get-go. However, there was much more to be done. We weren't ready to just throw up our hands and call it a day just yet. We needed to make absolutely sure that people were watching the entire case study video training before getting on sales calls with Gabe. We didn't want to take a chance that we would be letting a single potential customer come onto a sales call without being 100% ready to purchase. And the first stage of this was the homework sequence. So similarly to how I just mentioned in the last section, most people that are trying to sell through socials don't really engineer their customer journey, especially the final steps of the customer journey. For what reason, I could not tell you. How most people design this flow, if at all. 1, the prospect goes through a website or application, they book a call, nothing happens until the booked call. A creator, coach, or sales rep shows up on the call after the prospect was basically completely cold for 1 to 4 days between the booking and before the call. And I don't think I have to outline the insane problem that exists here, is that if the funnel does not automatically nurture prospects, you're praying the prospect is going to show on the call, you're assuming they've watched enough of your content to trust you enough to purchase from you, and you're betting the prospect is still as warm as they were the moment they booked the call. You got to get them in heat, you know? Now, here's everything you lose just by Wild Westing the process like this. The call show rate is going to be lower because they aren't constantly reminded beforehand of the call. There's no guarantee that they've watched the entire case study YouTube video. And because there aren't touch points between the booking and the call itself, you are not as top of mind as you need to be. You're not getting them when they're warm. Knowing this, we wanted to stop this from becoming a problem in the first place with the new funnel we built for Gabe. I didn't want to take a single chance that after all the work we did, prospects would be lazy and not do their half of the work, being the due diligence, actually consuming the content that's necessary to educate them on how things are going to work. So here's what we did. In the application questionnaire, we set up a very, very simple automation that would, 1, email prospects 2 times before the call, reminding them to watch the entirety of the case study training before the call. These are sent 24 hours before the call and 1 hour before the call. 2 is that there's 2 text messages that are sent to them before the call, reminding prospects to check the contents of the email and reminding them of the call time. These are sent 3 hours before the call and 20 minutes before the call. Now, even though this is such an incredibly simple change, people always forget how important it is to nurture prospects and send them feeder content before they arrive on a sales call. They have to marinate before they speak with you. This way, you aren't selling them, they are buying from you. It is incredibly, incredibly important. If there's one overarching thing you take from this case study as a whole in terms of things to be learned, is that when you are trying to sell through organic content, people need to buy from you. You are not selling them. If I can make anything clear here, that's what it is. Now, what happened when we did this? This simple little tweak resulted in every single prospect having routinely watched the entire case study video prior to speaking with them on sales calls. It was fucking amazing. Prospects were much more comfortable purchasing from Gabe as they had just seen a step-by-step of his entire process just hours before speaking to him. Prospects were warmer on the sales calls because they had spent more total time consuming Gabe's content, going back to the 7-hour rule. And in summary, more prospects showed up to the calls and the rate of paid in fulls increased dramatically, as you can see here. So as you can clearly see, properly designing the exact A to Z customer journey is critical to making the business work at its highest level of efficiency. At this point, all Gabe had to do was just keep posting content on TikTok and Instagram, and the prospects would keep flowing in and nurture themselves. Lead flow had become more consistent. His calendar was being stacked with sales calls daily, roughly around 2 to 4 a day. The prospects arrived on sales calls pre-warmed and ready to buy. Now that we had automated getting ready to buy high-ticket prospects on the phone, it was time to actually truly charge up the front end of his business. We wanted to make sure that within a very short time frame, Gabe would only have to do the things he enjoyed doing in his business, making content, collecting cash, and helping people. Now, getting into traffic and demand gen, in our situation, there wasn't anything particularly wrong with Gabe's content. I want to outline that here. Most people's content isn't wrong. It can just get better and more targeted. No content is ever wrong. It could just get better. The entire time you post, every time you post, you just get better. So he had tons of experience and had been posting for years, but we needed to change the messaging and format of content in order to drive more true buyers to the funnel we built. What we had found was that though his content was easy to retain through and it was very motivating, there weren't any particular elements of the content that was pushing the audience to actually want to make a change urgently. There's a frequent trend among people with followings to get stuck in a cycle of having to post the same type of content that got their followings in the first place. This is normal and completely understandable. However, the same content that builds a following is not the same content that drives leads and sales. Most people, when posting content, tend to do so aimlessly and not actually driving urgency within their audience. They have tens of thousands of followers, but not buyers. No interest being shown, no inbound customers knocking on the door, just mindless content consumers being fed more content. I coined the terms broke influencer syndrome and content creator friend zone to address this problem exactly. Gabe wasn't broke. I'm obviously referring to a super majority of the people posting content on the internet. The audience, these are the type of people where they just watch constantly and they enjoy viewing, but at no point is there even a thought of, holy shit, this guy can help me. I should probably see what more he has to offer. So we redesigned our approach in order to 5 to 10x the amount of people that would start to elapse their conversion windows and begin to venture further down Gabe's funnel. These techniques included short-form TikTok and IG micro sales letters, mid-form YouTube sales letters, increasing the amount of CTAs while maintaining a 10-to-1 ratio of giving to asking within the content, assuring every video in some form or fashion communicated the essence of Gabe's new high-ticket offer. Remember what I said about decision-making processes? Assuring every video demonstrated some form of social proof. Surgically inserting copywriting techniques into short-form content is something that no one else has done to this degree in a repeatable fashion. The structure of these short-form micro sales letters. You guys can take a look at this. I've said this God knows how many times in content now, so if I repeat myself again, my fucking mouth is just going to fall off. So I'll hover here for a second so you guys can just pause. So we posted these micro sales letters at a frequency of 2 to 4 times per week on TikTok as well as Instagram. These posts are fantastic as driving leads. However, we do not want the audience, you don't want to train your audience to associate you with repetitively putting out 2 to 3 minute long sales videos, right? And these don't even come off as sales videos. Most of you guys that are watching this video right now have seen Liam or myself do these. So you know what I'm talking about. They're not salesy, but the problem is that as time goes on, every time you see someone pop on your feed and you're just used to them posting 3-minute videos on TikTok or Instagram, you're like, there's no fucking way I can watch this right now. And you just scroll, right? So you need to have variance and frequency. So we added and edited pod clips, motivational talking head videos, and lifestyle clips to increase the variance and frequency that his audience was seeing. This high frequency and variance approach kept Gabe at the top of his audience mind and forced the daily impressions he was generating higher every single week. The mid-form sales letters that I mentioned earlier are of a similar structure, but are more free-flowing videos posted on YouTube 2 to 3 times per week. And you guys have seen us post these on our own channel as well. They're much more free-flowing. They follow a general structure, but they're not so rigid in how they need to be communicated, right? Much more natural. And these help because it leads clients to buy sooner because not only is Gabe omnipresent in their feed, but there's just more total opportunities to spend more time with him. And if someone spends enough time with you over a long enough, given time frame, if more iterations and there's more, think about content as if you are just chopping a tree, right? Every single time a customer sees one of your pieces of content is another hack, over and over and over and over. Bigger YouTube videos, case studies, things like that. It's like one big, chop on its own or just like a chainsaw. But every piece of content over and over is just more hits, and eventually the tree's going to fall over. I did not make that up. I do not remember who I heard say that, but I remember someone saying that is a really good way of describing content and social, or just like content frequency. Amping the amount of CTAs while maintaining a 10-to-1 give to ask ratio. Now in Instagram stories, we were running the following structure, and you guys can look at this. It is obviously a gross over-summarization. There's a bit more nuance here as to the point behind each one of these, but you get the idea. As long as the content's giving to asking is kept to a 10-to-1 ratio, you'll never have a problem with burning out your audience. For example, if Gabe dropped 10 stories in a row answering people's questions, sharing insights, and giving advice, then on the 11th story decided to drop a CTA and send people to the case study or to DM him, his audience wouldn't think he's being pushy whatsoever. Additionally, in early July, we placed a full-time video editor into Gabe's business. This allowed Gabe more time to focus on creating the content in the first place, closing sales calls, and coaching all the new clients he was getting. Because remember, we're implementing systems thinking, big brain hours. So all in all, what were the results of this? More content going out total is more touch points with the audience, keeping Gabe top of mind. The content was constantly shoving client results down the audience's throat, these being micro sales letters. More total nurturing mid to long form content allowed for the audience to spend more time with Gabe prior to venturing further down the funnel, and increase the total amount of offers per day as a metric by amping the total amount of giving content, right? So if there's more giving content, you can make more CTAs. Because if you're always making call to actions constantly, people are like, fuck this guy. He's just like, every time I see his stuff, he's just asking. He's just making asks. But if you amp the amount of giving content you do, you can increase the amount of qualitative offers per day you're making, right? Now, this allowed us to make more asks without the audience feeling like Gabe was being pushy, leading to more people experiencing call to actions total within a given time frame, just as a metric as a whole, right? And this just brought more leads to the door. This led to what I would refer to as a batshit insane volume of inbound DMs every single day, with the leads being warmer than ever before. As you guys can see here, just more and more closes coming in. So now that we had quality front-end traffic solved, we needed to put together a system that stopped Gabe from spending 12 to 14 hours a day managing his inbox and his backend. And no, I'm not exaggerating. He actually was spending 12 to 14 hours a day managing it. Blueprint Part 3, the sales mechanism, capturing value, and scaling up the machine. Now, the sales system and backend machine we put together for Gabe is made up of 4 distinct parts shown below: automated intake, sales process, backend and client management, and marketing recursion, which I'll go into now. Now, usually when creators and social media-based entrepreneurs try to sell, they don't systemize the entire process of it for a high conversion rate, gathering useful insights from potential clients or conserving time, labor, and operational complexity. This results in low cash collection as well as not planning for the future effectiveness of their marketing. The solution most people take, rather than fixing these glaring issues, is to spam low-ticket products and services and hiring team members that are even less tapped into what the audience wants. This leads to low profitability, operational drag, and nonchalant operators that don't mind if the business scales or not. They don't give a fuck. This is why most people do not run profitable businesses on social media, even though they should be operating at least 80% margins until they are doing minimum $100,000 a month. The proper solution is to create a system to monetize off customers that can't afford the high ticket offer yet, as well as optimizing the entire backend of the business for data aggregation from the most profitable customer segment. We do this in order to reapply the language and messaging our most profitable customers are telling us to our short form and mid form content. This makes our marketing exponentially more effective, leading to a collapsed sales cycle that makes a huge team irrelevant, and the only people working in the business have a finger on the pulse of the audience at all times. So everyone is in the know. Everyone knows how customers feel, how the audience is feeling. Everyone is in they're in the groove. If you guys have ever done like high volume of sales before, in any capacity, I'm talking if you've worked in sales, anything like that, and when you're in the groove and you just have a finger on the pulse of what people actively feel, and you can literally feel the market as if it's a living, breathing thing because it's what you are involved in every day. That's how everyone should be on your team. Everyone should have, they should know exactly what's happening at all times. So yeah, and here's the breakdown of what this, comparing the traditional methods and traditional results to the method that we applied. Trying to sell everyone on the same offer, no filtration, leads to a lower conversion rate, less total cash collection, and more chargebacks. No sales process, trying to DM close the wrong people and trying to set higher ticket calls with unqualified prospects, nor gathering data on sales calls results in a low close percentage. High ticket offers don't close. You hear, I need to think about it constantly, empty business checking account, and you can't figure out how to iterate on the offer in order to improve. Only course or template selling or one-on-one coaching, no model for gathering data, group fulfillment, and mass scale, which results in an operational mess. Paying customers fall through the cracks. Bad rep of you and the offer disseminate throughout the niche, and no data gathered for stronger content and marketing. Not reapplying any data back to the top of funnel content or mid-funnel content, and relying on hiring more team members in order to make the business scale. The audience thinks you're just another wannabe influencer in your space. You're just a faceless Instagram billboard that never says anything useful or insightful. And the social media business running at trash margins, say 30 to 50%. Now the method that we apply: placing a military-grade DM closer armed with a downsell offer to filter out the broke part of the market, or politically correct here, the part of the market that can't afford it yet. Each customer is met where they're at. More total value is captured, and you make dollars while sleeping. That actually happened at one point, by the way. Gabe, I still remember this. He sent me a text one time that his DM closer literally closed like 2,000 while he was taking a nap one time. A lethal sales process designed for an extremely high close rate and gathering data. This results in a higher close percentage. Back-to-back paid in fulls on sales calls. You start to aggregate extremely high value data and language from the customer base. The high ticket group model for client fulfillment. You have AI note taking on every backend client call for help with content idea gen. Countless data points that results in countless data points to utilize for melding a customer avatar, infinitely scalable and operationally sound. And then finally, applying a marketing recursion process back to the content on the front end in order to increase the strength of messaging, eliminating the need for large teams to scale. And this results in audience resonation increasing wildly, complete distillation of your positioning and offer, and hyper-effective marketing and sales eliminate the need for a bulky team to manage. Now, the intake mechanism and the DM closer. Now, what most people typically do for their sales process is just texting and DMing back and forth with leads and closing them on low-ticket programs or course sales. This is what Gabe was stuck doing before working with us, sometimes upwards of 10 to 12 hours a day. Like I mentioned before, that is not an exaggeration. It's essentially the internet version of pounding the pavement. There's nothing necessarily wrong with this. Some people, I actually know some people that prefer this. However, it's just a fact that it's low efficiency, and it ends up with the owner of the business having less total leverage than they otherwise could have. If the entrepreneur or creator is doing these themselves, managing the DMs, they aren't focused on making more content and driving more potential clients to sales calls for the high ticket offer. Because focus is split between multiple parts of the business, there's countless conversations that fall through the cracks. I cannot tell you how common that is. That happens. That used to happen to me. I know every single person. Once you hit, it starts to happen right around the $20,000 to $30,000 a month mark is where it starts to become too much conversations to manage, and shit just starts falling through the cracks constantly, which results in huge amounts of free cash left on the table from prospects that would otherwise be a perfect fit for a low ticket downsell offer. They're not ready for the high ticket, the meat and bones, the ham and eggs, the steak and potatoes yet. This is exactly what Gabe was experiencing. The huge amounts of free... I just realized there's a copy of that right there. Ignore that. For this low ticket offer, we just kept what Gabe's primary offer was before. We didn't want to spend too much time trying to come up with like a whole thing versus like, hey, this is already working. For, at a minute level, if you're just managing it through DMs, we'll brush it up a little and have the DM closer run with it, right? And additionally, now that, and I'll get into the sales calls and stuff momentarily, but now that he was taking calls for the high ticket offer, he did not have the bandwidth at all to manage DMs, content, the whole nine, back-end client management, XYZ. So our solution, simple. We placed a trained commission-only DM closer in his inbox for him that would, 1, manage inbound keyword DMs for Gabe. Example, like if he put up in his story, DM me shred to get started. 2, manage warm DM outreach to prospects that saw social proof and client result stories. 3, set even more qualified high-ticket calls for Gabe through his DMs and send qualified people to long-form case study. 4, close deals using Gabe's previous low-ticket offer in the Instagram DMs with prospects who are unqualified for the high-ticket offer without Gabe ever having to touch the conversations himself. Now, obviously, if Gabe had to manage all these himself, he would have to be in his DMs for 12 to 14 hours a day. That's what he was doing before. So when we plugged this commission-based DM closer in for Gabe, we removed most of the work he was doing on a day-to-day basis, making the entire system more efficient. Now he would only have to focus on higher-level tasks within the business and was not bogged down in the weeds of DMs constantly. Now, even though this sounds incredibly childish, there's legitimately no other way to explain what we built here other than a profit machine. As you guys can see here, his DM closer racking them up. Gabe would quite literally hop into his DMs if he wanted to make extra money that day. If he just wanted to hop in and give the setter more, additional training, giving him examples, or just wanted to hop in and be like, for fun, he would do so. The results of this, the commission-based DM closer was taking care of managing the entire inbox for him, allowing more time during the day to focus on making more content, closing high-ticket deals, and getting client results on the back end. Summary being, he could spend less time to make more money, as you guys see here. So now that we had taken care of closing low to mid-ticket deals on autopilot, as well as automating the booking of high-ticket calls, it was time for us to craft Gabe a lethal sales process. After all the energy and focus we poured into dialing the new ICP, the new offer, crafting the case study, brushing up the content, the profile optimization, training the DM closer, etc., we needed to make absolutely sure that Gabe was closing people in the high-ticket offer left and right. Now, as I mentioned before, Gabe was essentially only closing people on the low-ticket offer through Instagram DMs before working with us. No sales calls, wasn't running a high-ticket offer, no true standardized sales process. This is a really common habit most people, and this is very common in the fitness coaching space. I don't know why this happens. It's probably a trend that started to get passed around, but it's a really bad habit that a lot of people, especially in the fitness coaching space, fall into after a couple months. Like, they try it for the first time and it seems easy and it seems like it's less total time spent. However, the problem with DM closing high ticket deals is that because there's no true sales pressure like there is on a call, it's easy for prospects to just ignore it if they feel even remotely uncomfortable at the idea that they'll have to change their habits in order to make a change in their life. If you guys know anything about sales, it's most of sales is just getting people and programming them out of their horrible habits. That's most of what sales is. It's like just getting people to break their own limiting beliefs about, like, hey, it's not that hard to do this shit. So yeah, I'm not going to go off on a tangent though. This led to Gabe being limited on the pricing he could push when trying to close their DMs, him missing out on closes if he was trying to get the prospects to actually commit and close on a slightly more expensive mid-ticket package, low-ticket package. That's a copy. Yeah, that's a copy for some reason. Deals falling through the cracks as Gabe was stuck managing every other part of the business prior to us putting the DM closer and editor in. And the total time Gabe was spending the DMs on a daily basis has a worse time to cash collected ratio than him taking 3 to 4 45-minute sales calls per day, even if he only closed one of them. It's crazy to think about that he could even if he only had one call a day or 2 calls a day and only closed one of them, that's more cash in a single day than him busting his ass 12 hours a day. It's crazy to think of that. All in all, less cash collected on a daily basis as the business had less potential capital velocity. The systems were not in place for more capital to flow through in a given time frame. The standard model of not having a high-ticket sales process was not going to work in the long term due to the lack of leverage. In order for Gabe to have good months in the past, he would have to be crushing 12 to 14-hour days just pounding the DMs. This left him with little to no time to focus on producing more content, coaching his clients, or time to actually enjoy his life, which is literally half the fucking point of having a social media business. Dependent on your goals, obviously, of course. But I'm a psycho and work all the time, so it's different. But he was basically permanently stuck collecting smaller increments of cash through DMs without a system that would allow for true scale. Remember, this is before we installed the DM closer, what I'm mentioning here. If you recall, our goal with this new system that I mentioned was to create a monster cash collection machine, meaning that we needed to give Gabe a structure for his call so his close rate was high right from the jump. So here's the 2 things we did to make an absolutely lethal sales process that allowed Gabe to close above 60%. 1, we crafted and gave Gabe an entire sales script line of questioning word for word. 2, we also put together a spreadsheet workbook to record prospect responses to discovery questions. Remember the ICP section of this case study. And here's obviously the screenshot what it looked like. This was based on the literal hundreds of sales conversations I've taken in the past. So it was relatively easy to put together a script slash sales process outline for Gabe. Now, I've done literally hour-long breakdowns on sales processes and master sales scripts, so I'm not going to go over the hyper specifics of this. If you guys would like to pause and briefly look at this, go right ahead. I will scroll through it slowly, but these are the exact line of questioning we used, and this is a summarization of the sales script that we put together for Gabe. There's future situation pacing after the disco process. There's the bulk right there, the vehicle, and then the finale. So after giving Gabe an exact word-for-word sales script that he could use over and over again and placing the DM closer, the closing and cash collection process for the high-ticket offer and the low-ticket offer were now standardized. The results of this, high-ticket sales were closing consistently right from the get-go, averaging a 3,000 ticket on the high end, and the bottom-end filtration becoming a sales machine averaging 500 to 1,000 per day without Gabe having to touch his DMs. And here's some examples of the deals Gabe's was closing alongside the DM closer, clocking low-ticket deals in the DMs as well. And here's also, as even more incontrovertible proof, this is a spreadsheet from August of deals that the setter had recorded of him setting and closing himself. That resulted in $55,268 that he was responsible for. This doesn't count the straight through bookings that were occurring. This is just what the setter closed and set. Like the high ticket calls that he set and the ones he closed. That's not counting things that went straight through from the YouTube. Now, using this DM closer and editor combo, we wanted to develop a cash collection machine for Gabe, where his content was pulling in high-ticket booked calls on autopilot, while his DM closer pulled in low-ticket closes. I'm sorry, did I read that wrong? We wanted to develop a cash collection machine for Gabe, where his content was pulling in I said autopilot twice, so I was freaked out for a second there. His content was pulling in high-ticket booked calls on autopilot, while his DM closer was pulling in low-ticket closes on autopilot. And that's exactly what we built for him. So now that we had the entire client acquisition machine turning and burning, it was time to build out the back end so we could rail scale Gabe's entire offer and change how he ran his business forever. Not going into the back end build out. So at this point, we already had Gabe starting to acquire low and high ticket clients at a pretty rapid clip. By the time we were 2 weeks into our launch, we'd already gotten 16 new clients. Now this all sounds amazing, except for the fact that he was individually managing every single one. If you guys remember earlier, the offer that he was running before, he was positioning it as group coaching. However, because Gabe was going above and beyond, he was doing like a lot of one-on-one management. Just because, that ends up happening a lot with us too, where it's like you just like, to a crazy degree, you just can't handle it when people are just like stagnating. So you just like, okay, just get on a call. Let's iron this out. It happens a lot. Now, this is cause for concern for two reasons. One, there's obviously a severe time commitment and drop in total efficiency of the business that's caused by doing solely one-on-one coaching. And two is that the energy expenditure from doing one-on-ones with every person, regardless of which offer they came in on, results in a less tangible but still very real loss in productivity and energy that could be put towards more content, sales calls, and actually managing the growth of the business as a whole. Simply put, Gabe's time was being constantly sucked away by always getting caught in one-on-ones. There was less total time for Gabe to put into taking more sales calls and making content. And basically, he was spending more time in the business than on the business. So here's what we did to make sure Gabe could get as many clients as he wanted without ever experiencing back-end scalability problems. We simply modified the delivery of the offer where high-ticket clients would get an initial one-on-one onboarding, but after that, they would be plugged into two group coaching calls per week where community comms are wide open. Now, what does that mean? Every person could talk to every other active client. They could all get to know each other on group calls. And compared to one-on-one coaching alone, this helped Gabe in three ways. One, the client base became easier to manage due to the group setting and the one-to-many approach. The community setting made each client, because it was primarily male, want to be known inside the group as the person that gets results, leading to healthy competition. And three, Gabe could virtually handle an infinite amount of clients in this type of setting. This led to never having to deal with a high drag system that stops the business from scaling just by scaling in the first place. Otherwise, you start to get like the yo-yo scaling. And now, because he was able to handle more total clients, Gabe was able to get a larger amount of total clients results in the same time frame while working the same, if not less, every day. As you can see here, that's him on posting group calls. which is also a strategy in and of itself, by the way. If you guys don't know, if you guys see our Instagram stories or anything like that, you want to post your calls with clients. It makes you look like you're not a fucking scammer. Remember, by definition, you are always a scammer until you prove otherwise. To everyone on the internet, if you treat it like that, you'll never have a problem closing people. Now, this is exactly what we had intended. Because now with a greater total amount of clients starting to get results, we could begin to use this in our marketing, and we could move on to the next stage, which is my favorite part. I think this is the most intelligent part of the entire strategy outside of the pre-call nurturing and the conversion mechanism. Now, it's very uncommon for people in the fitness coaching or coaching space in general to think about their offer as a true product or to think about their clients as customers. When, once again, you begin to think about scaling high-ticket businesses through our approach of systems thinking, and just pure, unit economics and mathematics, everything becomes crystal clear as to how the entire business needs to scale. We need to communicate the ideology behind our offer and decision-making process more effectively into a greater amount of people in a smaller time frame. Think about that. I wish, actually, going back, I wish I made a math equation to fucking explain that, but to summarize it, but an actual, make it look like a function. But if you remember what I stated Gabe's day-to-day was in the beginning, it was just posting, pounding DMs, and praying for the ascension effect to take place. The ascension effect meaning you are confident that the business is going to grow every, say, quarterly or monthly. When I say the ascension effect, how it's you can say with 110% confidence, oh yeah, we're going to do X amount next month. We're going to be up 25% or 150%. We're going to double next month. You could say that with confidence. That's the ascension effect. So before, he was in a linear manual place where the ascension effect was not taking place. The effects of this being the coach and entrepreneur stuck with the main driver of the business just being more time, labor, and effort on a day-to-day basis. The business staying in the same place and stagnating due to no compounded growth, even with the same amount of effort every day. And Gabe essentially building himself a job, replacing his previous 9-to-5 with a 7-to-10. Now, sure, it might be more money at the moment, but with a nearly equal correlation of labor involved to achieve it. And obviously, we didn't just want Gabe to have to work more to get the amazing results we were getting. We wanted to give him permanent leverage and create a legitimate cash flowing asset that allowed him to have the freedom he actually started his business for in the first place. So here's what we did to permanently create this leverage for his business that no one else in the entire space is doing. We call this the marketing recursion process, which is essentially utilizing the language, data, and messaging collected behind the scenes to increase resonance all the way up and down the chain of content. And here's a visual representation of such. Client comes and calls is where you extract the epiphanies and transformation insight. Sales, calls, and conversation is where you extract the depth of the pain and the value of the solution to prospects. DMs and comments is where you gauge the demand size and sentiment. Mid-form content, YouTube videos are longer, stories, X, Y, and Z, is where you derive the problems struggle with and solutions wanted. Short-form content is language resonation, market awareness, as well as a little bit more market sentiment. Now, how we got the data and messaging from behind the scenes. 1, we took notes in our spreadsheet workbook of what points they were noting they had when the DM closer was speaking to them and from comments, etc. 2, took even more notes in the spreadsheet workbook of the specific desires people were noting they had on sales calls. And 3, we started collecting data from client coaching calls as to what the common issues and emotional states people were experiencing during difficult time periods. We also aggregated all the client testimonials and transformations that Gabe had from existing clients, plus all the new clients he was getting in. We started collecting all this information and began to apply it to the front-end content in the following format. And note, this applies to all TikTok, Instagram micro sales letters, and YouTube mid-form sales letters. This is the highticket.com marketing recursion process. You are going to use the pain points people are noting in DMs and sales calls as the basis for hooks and openers of videos, as well as headlines. 2, you're going to use the transformations and case studies from the back-end client results to back up your hooks in micro, mid-form, and long-form sales letters. 3, you're going to use the epiphanies that clients are noting that they're getting on back-end coaching calls as the body of the content in your front-end content to create more gravity, insights, and epiphanies on the front end. You're going to use people's desires that they note on sales calls as the motivating factor for directing people to watch more of your content in the call to actions that you make. And you're going to do it in this exact order repetitively. Now, essentially, the closer someone is to the fulfillment stage is the more data you get as to why they really purchase. because people reveal more the closer you get to the bottom, right? And the more in-depth and one-on-one the conversation becomes. We can use the things they say, the pains they mention, the hurdles they need help overcoming, what they hate, what they like, what they're sick of, what they love, etc. We can reapply all of it to our front-end content messaging and stylization to resonate with the most profitable segment of an audience. Now, how does this relate to what we've gone over so far? Now, while most people would think about scaling the business through the method of just hire more, bro, we scaled Gabe's business by scaling the effectiveness of the marketing. This way, he would be able to permanently generate more sales without having to manage a gigantic team or reduce profitability. To reiterate, the standard method of scaling is hiring more, reducing margins, and introducing more operational complexity. 3, scaling slowly and stagnating due to decreasing margins and team becoming too much to manage. The marketing recursion model of scaling is using backend and bottom of funnel insights to scale at no additional costs, literally because you're just posting increasingly effective content on platforms. 2, create a marketing flywheel that scales harder. When the business scales harder, you get more back-end data from getting more clients. When you get more clients, you get more back-end data, which means that your marketing becomes more effective, and you get more clients in the door because of it. So more clients, more data, which results in more clients, more data, X, Y, and Z. Using content effectiveness to scale instead of relying on more human capital that creates drag and operational complexity in the business. Now, not only that, but now because Gabe had more and more new clients coming in the door for his program, there were more and more people that were giving him testimonials as well as achieving transformation. We use this as ammo to fire out on his socials to intensify the truth element behind Gabe's messaging. Because remember, we need to provide the audience with as many indicators as possible that Gabe's new way and messaging is the only one the viewer should be listening to. So we need to stack undeniable proof right in front of their eyes, as you guys can see here. Now, putting this all together, here's how, if you guys want to summarize how this all goes and how this is an infinite loop where you can force the ascension effect to take place. 1, you're going to tune the base messaging and focus of your offer based on data and actually cater it to what the most profitable segment of your audience is and you're going to tune it to what they want to buy. Engineer every step of the customer journey with the proper order of content to communicate the offer and results in such a fashion that the offer pre-sells itself. Implement a sales process and customer feedback loop that allows for collecting data and insight from the market and audience the creator is serving. And then apply marketing recursion strategy to repeat these steps with every iteration/repetition, giving you a better return on your time investment. That order exactly, and you're going to repeat this infinitely. So offer tuning results in content tuning, results in sales tuning, and you're gathering data from every single one of these steps, primarily from these two, mostly this one, and you're going to be reapplying it over until you increasingly have a more effective flywheel, and every post that you make just becomes infinitely more effective as you start to garner more and more language and data as to what people want. Now, we had built a lean, mean cash collection machine. Gabe was making more every 3 to 5 days than he used to make in a month, with better clientele that were more likely to get results, doing less activities, doing less busy work activities like editing or DMing clients, and working less than he ever was before. This is what happens when you build a high-ticket ecosystem where every single part of the entire machine is understood and the nuance behind everything is crystal clear, not just left to chance. There's no other option than to scale when you intentionally design every single granular step of the customer journey and communicate the proper message at every stage of your ecosystem. Remember, this is all a feedback loop. More client acquisition means more client results. More client results means more client acquisition. It's a beautiful cycle to see play out in real time, and Gabe was experiencing it firsthand. Now, when this flywheel we had developed for Gabe started to get momentum, we could not turn off the amount of people wanted to buy from him, even if we wanted to. And at the time that I was writing this, he had cash collected $116,732.45 USD since our launch, which was on June 13th, so 70 days. And this is how powerful a high-ticket ecosystem's feedback loop gets when it's executed properly, intentionally, and the nuance behind every decision and change is fundamentally understood. So, in summary, all you need to do is identify your perfect ICP so your messaging cuts through the noise on social media and you're actually able to build the rest of your business easily. Build your high-ticket offer that caters to existing demand but is also simultaneously unique. Design your profile funnel with the exact steps and nuance needed to bring potential clients through the customer journey without being pushy or salesy. Write a case study breakdown that communicates the results you get clients, the specifics of your high-ticket offer, while also making it extremely useful and interesting to the viewer. Assemble a homework sequence that makes sure every prospect is nurtured correctly and doesn't ghost you on sales calls. Apply a micro sales letter strategy and high frequency content approach in order to generate traffic and leads into the profile funnel. Hire, train, and manage a commission-based DM closer that cash collects on deals for you in your DMs and sets up booked calls with high-ticket clients. Write, update, and iterate a master sales script in order to close upwards of 50% of prospects on sales calls. Build a bulletproof backend to get yourself out of the trenches and focus on working on the business instead of in the business. Implement a marketing recursion process so you can consistently and profitably scale without having to manage a giant team. And if you do this, you'll be able to add, at bare minimum, $20,000 a month to your business in the next 180 days. So, what now? You have a couple different options available to you. Option one, you continue what you've been doing so far that has kept you where you're currently at and hope that something changes. You can continue doing this until you either run out of willpower or different strategies to try and implement, whichever comes first. Option two, you can mirror the exact process as I laid out for you in this case study. You can follow it word for word and will inevitably see results, but it will take you longer to achieve them, and the efficiency of the results will likely vary. There are multiple things that I couldn't go over here purely due to the length of this case study that you will still have to figure out for yourself. Or option three, you can work directly with me and my team, follow the precise step-by-step instructions we're going to give you to a T, and add at least $20,000 to $50,000 a month to your coaching business in the next 180 days. Now, this option is only for you if you've tried to launch or scale your high-ticket coaching offer in the past and failed, if you have a social media audience but are struggling to monetize it properly, if you're running a coaching offer and feel like you're doing everything right but still aren't scaling at the pace you know you should be, if you have expertise and experience that you want to efficiently package and sell at premium pricing. Any of these, this option is for you. Once more, the goal here is to add at least $20,000 to $50,000 a month in the next 180 days. And here's the exact steps we're going to take you through. Identifying and dialing in your ICP, we're going to show you exactly how to dial in your most profitable ideal customer persona. We're going to do a 1-hour one-on-one call where we go over the exact niche and vertical you're operating in, your unique angle and messaging, and the most profitable customer profile you should be serving. Building your standout high-ticket offer, your unique high-ticket offer. On this same one-on-one call, we're going to build or revamp your high-ticket coaching offer in order to increase your prices, increase market resonance, and stack the perceived value of your offer. Additionally, we will be writing your offer headline for you, as you saw we did with Gabe. Structuring your profile funnel, we are going to engineer your social media profile so we can standardize your customer journeys down to your funnel in order to increase the consistency of your lead flow. We will be doing this and helping you extrapolate on the messaging and angle we came up with in the ICP section in order to actually give you a brand feel that will allow you to sell without coming off pushy or salesy. Writing your case study. We're going to help you write a high-converting case study breakdown that communicates the results you get clients and the specifics of your high-ticket offer in order to pre-sell all your leads before they get on sales calls. We also pay a trained copywriter $500 an hour to personally review and audit your case study, as well as Liam and myself personally reviewing it to make sure the case study will convert. Setting up your homework sequence, we're going to give you the exact questions, copy, and sending order for your homework sequence to make sure your sales call show rate increases, as well as increasing your sales call closing rate. Applying the micro sales letter strategy. We're going to show you the exact micro sales letter strategy and proven scripts that have brought in millions of organic views and hundreds of thousands of dollars for myself and clients. This is going to help you generate high quality traffic and leads into the profile funnel we have helped you construct. Hiring and training a DM closer and setter. Because we are well connected with multiple sales training programs and have connections, we are able to place a trained DM closer / setter to help you manage your inbox at no additional upfront cost to you. This is a service that people typically charge $3,000 to $5,000 USD for, but we handle the cost of this placement on your behalf in order to scale you further. Writing, updating, and iterating a master sales script. We're going to show you how to write, update, and iterate your master sales script in order to maintain a close rate above 50% on your organic leads that come through the system. You'll be getting the exact same master sales script template that my business partner, my sales team, Gabe, my clients, and I personally use on a daily basis, as well as the data collection workflow we use to make our marketing more effective. We'll show you how to create a scalable back-end client management system in order to get you out of the day-to-day trenches and actually focus your effort on working on the business instead of inside it. This is going to allow you to get client results while also not tearing your hair out, leading you to continually post more and more client results and getting more referrals while keeping your cortisol levels in check. We're also going to show you how to aggregate and apply bottom of funnel insights as well as back-end customer messaging to continually improve the gravity and effectiveness of your marketing. This is going to allow you to scale based on the strength of your marketing rather than relying on the strength of labor management. Basically, increase profit margins at scale. Now, what are you going to experience? You're going to have access to a private Slack community the entire time we are working together. You're going to have access to all the assets and done-for-you templates the entire time we are working together. I don't know why this is not loading. Here's a preview of it. You're going to have access to all the assets and done-for-you templates the entire time we are working together. You will have access to all updates and iterations of the assets and the iterations of the assets and done-for-you templates the entire time we are working together. You will have access to a linear task list telling you exactly what needs to be done in what time frame and how it needs to be done the entire time we are working together. Here's an example of one we have for one of our clients, Simon. It is a complete linear task list. You will have access to multiple group calls per week in our private community with ourselves and multiple other people who are running successful 6- and 7-figure high-ticket coaching offers. You will have a dedicated success manager checking in on you 3 times per week to make sure you are keeping in lockstep pace with the program, as well as if you need assistance with anything specific, because we are not going to allow you to fail. We will staff sales teams members on your team at no additional upfront cost to yourself when you reach the scale where it becomes appropriate. You will have direct access to myself and my business partner Liam through Slack and Zoom in a private channel. And additionally, you will also get access to our private network and unknown tricks of the trade that we do not share publicly on our social media profiles. Additionally, too, you will get access to highticket.com private mastermind events that are only available to highticket.com members. We're doing an in-person event on December 2nd and 3rd as an example. And there's so much more customized end-to-end consulting that I can't even demonstrate here because it would be too long to even outline. Everything here plus the extras will give you the exact steps to put you in the 1% of people who are monetizing on social media. Remember, the goal here is to add $20,000 to $50,000 a month to your coaching business in the next 180 days. And if you follow the game plan to a T, it will absolutely happen. In fact, I personally guarantee that if you do not add at least $10,000 a month to your coaching business by the time the 180-day mark comes around after following everything inside the program, you may continue working with us for free until you do. So if you're exhausted of trying to figure everything out yourself, not charging what you know your time and effort are worth, not having a consistent system to generate revenue that has been battle tested by over 100 people across 14 completely different niches with audience sizes ranging from under 1,000 followers to over 1 million followers, you can book a call with me or my team below to add $20,000 to $50,000 a month to your coaching business by hitting the first link below this video. And for those of you who are still on the fence, please enjoy the following client testimonials.
Just wanted to make a quick shout out for Liam and Vince. Before I started working with them, I was a sales coach, and a big part of our business relied on paid marketing. One of my goals this year was to use organic marketing and build up my socials. Meanwhile, I had zero experience with social media. Even on a personal level, I rarely posted. I maybe 1,000 Instagram followers, no TikTok, no YouTube. I started doing social media, and at the time I was doing TikTok videos. I was posting 3 crappy videos a week, just trying to blast it out there, having no idea what I was doing. I was getting crappy quality leads. I was wasting time in the DMs, and just all the stress and all the headache. It was honestly pissing me off. I did that for a couple months, and the reason why I reached out to Vince and Liam, when I saw their stuff, I could tell that they just thought about organic marketing in a different way. Like, they just had it down to a science, just based on their own content. And I ended up reaching out to them and I started working with them early July of this year, July the 4th or the 3rd, I believe it was when I started. I executed really quickly, got everything up and running. By the end of the month, I did 4K in sales on the 29th and the 31st of July that month, my first month working with them. The month after that, I did 15 grand in sales, 14.6. The month after that, I did 33 grand in sales. This is with less than 1,000 YouTube subscribers, less than 2,000 TikTok subscribers, and less than 1,000 Instagram followers, right? Crazy stuff. These guys broke it down to a science. I followed it. And I think the biggest thing that I got out of all this was that I didn't have to waste fucking time. Like, I didn't have to spend hours a day. I just followed what they told me to do. It worked. It's making me good money, and it's only growing exponentially. So if you guys are having any doubts about reaching out to these guys, tell the little bitch in your head to shut the fuck up and get to work.
Hey guys, Simon here, fitness and mindset coach. I just wanted to mention that before I met Vince and Liam and decided to work with them, I was in a really bad spot. Like, I had my fitness coaching offer, monthly subscription, low ticket, and it was terrible. Like, you guys who do it, you know how it is. And I was struggling every month. Being the only breadwinner in my family, like, I had no idea how to put food on the table every single month after I paid my bills. But once I joined and worked with Vince and Liam, there were 3 things they helped me with that transformed my whole life. The first thing was they helped me to charge more, like up to 10 to 15 times more than my original ticket offer, which is crazy. Like, when I think about it, I never thought it was possible, but it is. And then I took a look at my Stripe account just before recording this. I've doubled my revenue the last 4 weeks, and I haven't been with them like barely for 2 months, which is crazy. Like, doubled my revenue, and it just keeps on increasing every single week. I have weeks where in one day I earn more than I did in a whole month before with my old offer. And the third thing is they really simplified the funnel strategy. So every lead I get is a really high quality lead, like that really want to join my program. So the calls I have with them, it doesn't even feel like sales call. They're like, I just present what I help them with, and they just ask, send me the payment link, and they're ready, which is amazing. That people I want to work with, people that want to be in my program, I don't have to do these, sales, call techniques that just feels, weird and awkward. And, the best thing with Vince and Liam is that they really want to help. Like, they really want to get you to over 20K a month, 50K a month. And the community they have is extremely supportive community, supportive program. Whenever you have an issue, they know exactly how you're going to overcome that challenge so you can reach this revenue goal of yours. And it's not that hard. I mean, they make it so simple because they know what they're doing. And I know from my own experience, like in previous coaching, like you pay a bunch of money and then you get in and you have no idea what to do and you don't get the support. Well, this is the opposite. This is the opposite of all of that. They know what they're doing, and they know how to get you a lot of money every month and, support your family and pay all of your bills and make your dreams come true. So whoever want to join their system, I highly recommend it. If you want to be rich, you got to join it.
What's good, guys? Spencer Clays here, and I've been working with Vince and Liam for the past 2 months, and the experience has been awesome. Like, before I started work with them, I was hitting maybe $12,000, $20,000 per month, and I was working a ton. I was taking a ton of sales calls and then just kind of getting burnt out. And then once I started working with them, I easily doubled that, and now I don't even take sales calls anymore. Hit my first 30K last month, on track to hit 40K this month, and the experience has been just fantastic. Because I don't say this lightly, because I've been part of a lot of other mentorships, masterminds, whatever you want to call it. Spent a lot of money, and a lot of those guys, they don't really give a shit about their customers. Like, they just kind of take your money, and you never even speak with them. Like, you speak with Vince and Liam like every week, multiple times. There's a great support system. You're able to connect with other guys who are also making 30K, 40K, 50K plus per month. So being around like other guys with the same mentality has just been awesome. So couldn't recommend them enough. So if you guys are on the fence, definitely get after it. See you guys inside. Let's go.
I went from 0 to 17K in 2 months working with Vince and Liam from ASM. Vince and Liam helped me craft my offer, my marketing plan, and honed in my skills creating high converting content. I currently have 15,000 followers in the AI space, and ASM is a huge reason I was able to get there. If you're thinking about working with these guys, they've been around the game a long time, they know what they're doing, and I highly recommend them.
I was running a fitness business that was making $1,500 to $2,000 a month. So I started working with Vince, and in a matter of 90 days, I'm making over $20,000 a month. So originally I was able to get a lot of eyes. Lead quality was very low and wasn't getting as many leads as I would have liked. So reached out to Vince. Everything made sense with this program, started moving forward. He gave me the layout for how to structure my post, and I started posting under this format. In the first week, I got over 50 applications and a huge increase in the quality of my leads. I had a great time working with Vince. Anytime I had any question or any problem, they would answer right away with a text, a voice message, or a phone call. Sometimes up to 2 hours, they would stay on the phone, just making sure I had absolutely everything figured out, with my content and my funnel before moving forward. I highly recommend working with Vince and Liam. I've never worked with anybody that's so hands-on.
If you're thinking about joining Vince and Liam's highticket.com program, I would definitely pull the trigger and just dive in it. A couple of months ago, I didn't know what I was doing. I was at zero with my coaching program, and I literally went from 0 to 30K a month just with their guidance alone in the last 3 months. So if you guys are skeptical, you don't know what you're doing, you want to make money with coaching or courses and monetizing your skill set in the most scalable vehicle in 2023 going forward, definitely check them out. At least hop on a call with them, and I guarantee you'll get some value.
When I started working with Vince and Liam, I did not really know what I was getting myself into, and I was a little bit nervous because they had a lot of cool case studies, and I was like, I don't know that I can become one of these. I was kind of stuck in my business, making $3,000, $4,000, sometimes $5,000 a month. And when I joined, I told them, I was like, I just want to hit $10,000 or $15,000 months. And since I did join, I needed all sorts of help. I needed lots of strategies, but they have helped me massively get a return on investment, and I am heading straight for that goal this month, which feels incredible. It's the 17th of the month already, and I've already hit a record for my income, so I'm definitely going to hit that 10 or 15, which is exactly what I wanted from them. But most importantly, just working with Vince and Liam is incredibly fun and easy. They make it fun and they make me laugh. And I was worried because they work with a lot of people, or at least it seems like it. So I was worried that I wouldn't get a lot of one-on-one time or attention. And they work day and night to make sure that everyone is getting what they need and to make sure that they're constantly improving the way that they fulfill each client. By the time I had paid and already worked with them for a little while, I was shocked at how they are constantly improving and improving and improving. And I just want to thank you, Vince and Liam. Can't wait to keep working with you guys.
I reached out to Vince and Liam because I'd reached this point in my business where I'd have a few good months. I think my best month ever was 15K. And I was like, okay, I made it. Here we go. And then 3 months after that, I didn't make a single sale for 3 months. So it was really just kind of up and down, and I knew that I needed to kind of up my game and focus on starting, and building an audience. I was really hustling in the reach out side of things, but I didn't really have a following. Funnel was a mess. It wasn't really working. It was confusing. I came across one of Vince's videos, and it was just a clear example of them doing those things. They were building an audience. Their content was really, really good. And then I went through their funnel and I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. This works. All right. And so instead of trying to figure it out and copy it or whatever and going through a bunch of trial and error for months and months, I was like, I want these guys to help me accelerate the process. So I reached out to them, started with them right away. Totally a no-brainer. Within a very short amount of time, maybe a month, my funnel was dialed in and ready to go. And then continually they've been helping me up my game when it comes to my content. Now I'm booking calls every single week. My income has become much more consistent, but I don't have those up and down months anymore. It's very consistent. I've been making consistently 8 to 12K months on average. I want to get to that 20K a month goal, and luckily I'm still working with them. I can see the path, and it's just a matter of time with the system that they've helped me implement. These guys are incredible to work with. They show up. They're genuinely interested in seeing their people succeed. They actually take the time to analyze your business strategy, your brand, everything. They're really invested, right? And then it's just actionable advice, no fluff. They go straight for solution, and they're always helping you brainstorm and come up with new ideas to improve things. It's eternally grateful. I wouldn't hesitate to sign up with these guys. They are awesome to work with.
My name is Tyler Woodall. I originally started working with Vince and Liam just because I was trying to grow my agency. Essentially, we do staffing for insurance agencies around the country. We help them hire virtual assistants, scale their business, etc. I was struggling to grow and set appointments. We were at 15K a month in monthly recurring revenue whenever I first signed up with them. And basically, since then, we're about to hit 50K a month. I've been in the program, I believe, less than 90 days. And really, I've not even followed the curriculum that well. Haven't done a whole lot of what they've talked about. It's just the mastermind component, having other people to bounce ideas off of, etc., has been really worthwhile. They've helped me tweak some of my messaging, some of my sales scripts, and work on my ads. So they have been worth every penny, extremely valuable to myself and my team. Now we're doubling down and truly trusting the process and following step by step what they recommend. And I'm excited to see where we go from here. But if you're on the fence about it, highly recommend you work with Vince and Liam. They have been incredible for me and myself and my team, and I know they'll be the same for you.